apart from the physical and the digital and the circumstantial evidence that honestly do not look good for Brian Walshe right now, there is also Brian Walshe. He doesn't look too good right now, especially his past. A recently surfaced police report from 2014 shows Anna Walshe claimed that her then boyfriend Brian, before they were married, threatened to kill her and threatened to kill her friends. Sadly, that case was closed with no charges filed because Anna refused to cooperate. In 2018, Anna posted this photo of herself with an injury above her eye, and she captioned it, quote, "mild concussion, bruised hip, and a cut." And the hashtag read, vulnerability. For reasons completely unknown, she edited that photo last spring. And though we have no way of knowing what the caption said before, we do know that it was edited just 2 weeks before she submitted a letter to the judge urging him not to send her husband Brian to prison in an unrelated art fraud case. In 2021, speaking of that case, he pleaded guilty to selling fake Andy Warhol paintings, and he's been under home confinement with an ankle bracelet while awaiting his sentence. One of the people he swindled out of $80,000 had this to say about Brian Walshe, quote, "He is a calculated guy. I bought over 1,000 Warhols, and this is the one and only acquisition that got by me. He was that good. What happened to me is telling of masterful ability to coerce people." On that note, Walshe is also facing allegations that he stole $1 million from his dead father, too. That father, Thomas Walshe, cut Brian out of his will just before he died unexpectedly in 2018. But Brian now stands accused of destroying that will and then appointing himself representative of his father's estate. He's then accused of liquidating his father's bank accounts and selling off expensive family treasures and heirlooms, including a Salvador Dali painting. None of this means that if Anna Walshe is a victim of foul play, her husband is responsible, nor do financial crimes necessarily lead to violent crimes. But I want to explore all of this with one of my favorite experts who knows pretty much everything about this, Robi Ludwig. She's a psychotherapist, and she's the author of Till Death Do Us Part, Love, Marriage, and the Mind of the Killer Spouse. So clearly you wrote the book about stories like this. First, your take on all of this story, Robi.
Well, the fact that Anna was in danger before they even got married and thought that she was in danger of being killed, and then really before her disappearance called her mother and was unsettled, it just sounds like she was in an abusive relationship where she was endangered, and she was married to a career criminal. And it was obvious. And one of the hallmarks of somebody who is a career criminal is their family wants nothing to do with them, and they don't have any friends. Why? Because they burned all of their bridges. And you're right, financial crimes don't equal murder. But in some cases, when a person is desperate, it certainly can.
So talk to me about financial stressors, because if you look at his past, which we just laid out, not only were there financial stressors, but she was doing well. By all accounts, the friend said that the job that she got in Washington, D.C. Was a good one. And Brian himself said in court documents, asking for leniency in the sentencing for the art fraud, she got a better job. She has a great income. She's got great benefits. And I can't move to Washington because of our situation. So obviously, that might lend something else to this whole metric of how their relationship might have been.
Absolutely. So if Brian was feeling bad about himself because he financially was not measuring up, he probably considered himself a loser financially, was under a lot of financial duress, which really increases mental health issues. So it increases a person's depression, anxiety, rage level, in some cases, suicidality. And I would imagine that Brian was very jealous of his wife and angry with his wife. Here's someone who he might have wanted to be the perfect wife, and he presented himself as this uber successful businessman, and now he's under house arrest, and he has a very beautiful wife who is very successful. He might have felt he was in danger of losing her and losing everything, and his pride took over, and he's a violent guy.
Oh, Robbie, this is what I don't understand. People who are in fear of losing the spouse for whatever reason, so they kill them. That doesn't make any sense to me. You're in fear of losing them, so you lose them forever by your own hand. I can never get around that. But I do want to ask you this. The notion that Brian didn't call police to report his wife missing for 4 days. I mean, she went missing on the 1st. He doesn't call police till the 4th. Look, let's be frank. Us moms, we wouldn't go a day or two without checking in on a 2, a 4, and a 6-year-old. No matter how busy we are, no matter whether we're running the world, we find the time to pick up the phone and say, what happened today? Is everybody good? Or I'm just checking in. It's been a day or 2 days. Oh, God forbid it's been 3. What do you make of this story that Brian said, well, she's busy, so she doesn't always check in?
Well, it just sounds like he's making excuses. And also, he didn't want his wife to be found. Why would he want her to be found, especially if he's responsible for her being missing? So this is a person, it sounds like he'd rather have his wife dead than show him up or leave him. It's just very suspicious, unnerving. And again, right now, just so unfortunate for these 3 boys who are the innocent victims in all of this.
I smell a complete rat when I hear somebody say she was busy, she didn't check in for 4 days on her 2-year-old, her 4-year-old, and her 6-year-old. Robbie, Ludwig, I knew you'd have the answers. Thank you for that. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.